watching people be chased by something. And you guys owe me right now because my two choices were people being chased by animals and people being chased by clowns. And it was very disturbing. And you're welcome. So, welcome to the Diff. We are and we are a bunch of teenagers that figure out how to do life with Jesus, figure out who he is, what he has for us, stuff like that. We're in the middle of a Testify series where different people do what? Testify about a moment in their life or something that happened, and we figure out what God has for us through that. And so people being chased by animals was the perfect opening video for our Testify today, because Billy's going to talk to us about how God chases us and not the other way around. Sometimes we feel like we're going after him, trying to figure out how we can get his attention, but really he's the one going after us. And sometimes it can feel a little bit like that video, right? Like, he's so big and he's after me. Or what is he going to do when he catches me? And when I was looking at all these videos to pick the one I wanted for tonight, a lot of them, there'd be a little kid and an animal would do something scary, and then the adult would laugh, so the kid wasn't sure if he should be afraid or laughing, so he'd kind of look at his parents, and sometimes we're like that with God, right? Like, he tells us something so big, and then we look at our leaders like, should I be scared or excited? And we're like, both, because it's just like that experience. So today, Billy is going to talk to us about how God chases us first, and then what we get to do once we figure that out. So welcome to our online audience. You get a treat today because we have Mr. Billy testifying. So, welcome if you're online and also in the room. So we get to hear a story from Billy's life and then see what God has for us from it. So, take it away, Billy.
Church was no stranger in my life growing up in my childhood, but learning who God was very challenging because my parents, they took us to a lot of different churches. It seemed like 1 month we was at one church and the next month we'd be at another one, and it made it really difficult and just very hard to understand and grasp what God had for my life. And I just got to the point where it just seemed from my parents it was more a social gathering than anything else. And I started thinking that, well, for social gatherings, you can do that just about anywhere. So where does God fit into it? And I just started slowly backing away from anything that God had because I was so confused, and just started being a good boy for several years. But then when middle school started coming around, my mom ended up with MS, and then I started hearing some other things of what God was about, and at that point, seeing my mom going through that, I started thinking that why would he do that? Why would he let people go through this kind of stuff? And my parents was trying to see what he had for their life. And then middle school was just a nightmare. I started becoming somebody that I didn't want to be at all. But I was hurting and didn't know how to deal with it. I would say things to people that purposely would hurt them because I was hurting. Didn't know how to deal with any of it. My grades started dropping. I was the person that probably nobody wanted to be around. So I started hanging out with troublemakers. Doing things that I look back on now as really difficult to even believe that at one point I was there. So I started hanging out with people that I was hanging out with, and just living life. All the way through middle school. Got into high school, got into sports, blocked everything out. And when I got into high school, I started running with basketball players. And one day, it was a Friday afternoon, we was on the basketball team, probably not supposed to be doing extracurricular activities other than what the coach had for us. So we're at the elementary school where everybody goes to play basketball, playing full court. I'm coming down with the ball, step on somebody's ankle, and I go down. And my ankle was broke. And those people that I went to school with for years, they didn't hesitate just to keep on playing and just let me there. And lo and behold, there was a youth pastor. Why he was there, I don't know. But he come over and he started checking on me. He said, "Man, can I help you out?" And I just looked at him. I was like, "Yeah, my ankle's broke. I need to get to the hospital." He's like, "Let me help you. What's your parents' number? I can call them and they can meet us there." So here's this guy, no recollection, never met him before in my life, helping me out. And these people that supposedly are my friends just leaving me there on the court. So he starts talking to me when we're there at the emergency room. He says, "Hey, I know you're going through a lot of pain right now, but I think while you're down and healing, you should come and check out our church." And my first thought was, okay, I've already seen what a lot of these churches have. I don't know. But since I'm not able to do anything else at the time, okay, I'll check it out. So start coming to his church. And then it's definitely like God was working through me and showing me, hey, you've seen all this stuff before, but here's what I'm really about. And it really started changing my outlook on him. I started getting into it a lot. And I was in choir in high school. So I started using the Bible to write songs because I love to sing. And with everything that God was showing me, with the time that I was healing, it was a big life change. And in the church I was at the time, for my youth group, we started putting the music together that I was working on, and we did 2 years in a row of Youth Alive at the school. And I believe that God really used me to reach other people, and he pursued me for really great things that he had to reach other people. And that youth leader, I still talk to him and just tell him that he planted God's work from not even knowing each other to me now doing what God used to bring me to him when he pursued me. And it's just really amazing the journey he's took me through, and knowing that no matter how bad it was at first, God could turn it around and use it for his purpose in our lives, and it's really amazing.
Awesome. Give it up for Billy. Okay, so as part of our Testify series, you now have a chance to ask the speaker anything that you want. And if you're online, go ahead and type it in. We have someone ready to ask on your behalf. But while you get to thinking about that, I always ask the speakers the same 3 questions so that we can really figure out what God has for us through someone else's story. So before I ask a question, though, Billy, I just got to say, you do know why that youth pastor was on that court that day. Because God was pursuing you. So, okay, same 3 questions. First one was, Billy, what did the story you testified about show you about God?
He showed me that no matter who you are, what you've been going through, that he has a purpose in your life and he will pursue you just to do what his kingdom does, and that's to minister to people and share his love and everything that he has for all of us.
Awesome. So what did your story teach you about you?
That no matter how bad life seems that it can be, if you look towards God and lean into him, that he can do great things and heal your life.
All right, so my last question is always a little bit of a repeat, but it's always good to hear again. So what's the one thing you want us to get from your story, Billy? Like, why'd you pick that story to tell us? What do you want us to know?
That God can truly change your life, and he will pursue you no matter where you're at in your life. And he'll use it for his kingdom.
All right, so now it shifts to you guys. AJ is around with a mic, and so, or is it Adam? Okay, Adam's around with the mic. So raise your hand real high because it's dark in here. And if you are online, go ahead and type your question and we'll ask it for you.
Okay. My question is, when was the specific time you felt like God kind of changed your life from being the old, like you said, that you didn't want to be, to where you are now?
Most of you people probably don't know who this singer is, but he is a Christian singer. And we went to the state capital of Indiana for our youth group, and we went to see Carmen. And it was a...
Let's hear it, old people. Yeah!
And just seeing all the people that was gathered there at that place, that's... You could just feel God all over the place, and just sharing that with all kinds of different people from other cities and states and stuff. And it was just amazing just seeing how big God was in one spot.
I love that question because it didn't happen on that basketball court, right? And it didn't happen in the ER that day. Billy had to lean into what God had for him, and then it all began to make sense. Okay, next question. Who we got?
My question is, what did your family What did your family think of you starting to go to youth group, and did they see a change, or did they talk to you about that, or did they change at all?
Oh yeah, they've seen a big change. And my dad's passed away now, but I still talk to my mom about it. They're still, I guess, teetering on what it's all about, but I've shared it with them so many times because I found it for myself, but I just don't know if my mom's at the place in her life if she's committed to learn more of who God is.
Yeah, fun fact, Billy is a twin. so you can pray for his twin brother and his mom. And if you are a teenager in the house or online and you feel kind of alone because you're the only Christian in your family, please know that over half of your youth staff lives that every day, and we understand what that feels like. So, great question.
Sorry. Have you spoke to your basketball friends since?
To the ones I played with that day when I broke my ankle.
That ditched you.
No, I started hanging out with a lot of different other people, but I do pray for those people a lot.
Sometimes when life gets rough, the people in your life run the other direction, and Christians who are strangers to you run in. True facts. Next question.
What were some major signs in your life that you knew that church was a thing, the place you need to be?
Great question. How did you know, like, what changed your mind to go back and know that that's a place where you should go?
What changed my mind was seeing during that process of not being able to go anywhere, do anything. I was out for at least 3 or 4 months, and God was working in me. And then I seen if he could change all the things that I'd been through, that he could change my mom and everybody else that they would let him into their life. And I even started a morning prayer group at our school, and you'd be surprised of all the different people that started coming to it. But at first, they was really skeptical of seeing me being there because of the person I was before, and then seeing how I'd changed. But there was a lot of people that started changing and coming to that morning prayer group there at our school.
Next question.
At what point did you realize that God was using your injury to bring him closer to him?
Did you hear the question? What point did you know God was using your injury to bring you closer to him?
Well, I was no longer on the basketball team. I wasn't quite as good because I used electric shock therapy on my ankle, but during that healing process, all the things that God was doing through me then, I was no longer concerned about trying to be on the basketball team. I was more into what God had for me and started pursuing that. And I would say it was probably 4 or 5 months after I started going to that church.
Wait, so Billy and Nate, are you telling me that God can use a really bad circumstance in your life for good? Because someone told me that last week. Lily's pretty great. Okay, so next question. Next question.
What did you think? What did you think that God thought? What do you think God called you before you met him?
What do you think he called him?
Yeah,
Like a name?
no, what did Billy think God was before?
Oh,
you met
got
him?
it. What did you think of God before you realized he was pursuing you through a stranger on a basketball court?
We're going to all the different churches that my parents took me to. It was really baffling. I would say there were so many confusing things about it. I probably had some of the Old Testament mixed in with the New Testament, and the 3 wise men was thrown into the furnace. But but he was definitely pursuing me to show me exactly who he was and what he could do in my life. So, but before that, I had no idea who he was because of all the differences that I'd seen in my early years.
So, Joe, if I wake up in the middle of the night laughing, it's because I'm thinking about the wise men being thrown in the furnace, because that's hilarious. There's also two Josephs, two very different, important Josephs, in case you're wondering. Okay, so next question.
Yeah, I got a question. Oh, sorry.
Hey, wait a second. It's his birthday and it's his first night. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so I see that you have a really close relationship with God, and I think that's amazing. But do you, even if there's like bad things that happen, or like if you feel sad, do you ever still doubt his existence? And if so, how do you restore your faith for him?
Oh, that's a money question.
So later on, after that, yeah, there's been stuff that's taken place that's put that into my mind. Like now I'm going through eye surgeries and stuff like that. When it first happened, and I lost the job that I was at and lost the house that I was in because of it, it was real difficult finding God at that time. But then you just got to keep, I mean, he pursued me first, so I had to start pursuing him back and seeing things like the scripture. He's not going to allow you to bear more than you can handle. He's always there with you. You just got to keep seeking all that stuff, and he's definitely blessed me since that time, but that one was really tough afterwards. So he always said you're going to face hard times. He never said it was going to be the easy path. But there's so much more good than anything else that's happened in my life. So I'm going to keep pursuing him.
Plus, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but a lot of times after you meet God and then really tough times happen, you don't necessarily doubt his existence, but you doubt his character. Like, I know you're real because I've had experiences with you, but like, are you good? Because this doesn't feel good. And so you have to go back to who is God, you know? So, great question. Any other questions? I think we have an online question. Okay. I thought he was asking online.
Well, I was personally wondering, is there any other situations in which you felt really at your low and then you found God that brought you up? And also, follow-up question, are there any things that we can use to prepare for these scenarios which are likely to happen?
Yeah, there was another really tough time in my life that really put me to the test. And I have two sons that I took care of when they was younger. They're grown up now, but I ended up doing most of that by myself. But God's always been there with me through that. It was a challenging time, but he definitely helped me in that area. Any other question?
The follow-up question was, is there anything that they can do to prepare so when that really bad time happens that they don't totally lose their footing and be lost?
I would say certainly armor up.
So what does that mean? Some of them don't know what that means. What does armoring up mean?
We have our U version. There's plenty of things in there. No matter what you're going through, you can click on it. If you're going through struggles at school, you're being picked on or whatever, there's so much stuff in there that you can find out what God says about it and just get into it and see what it says, and it'll definitely help you through any circumstances. Like if you have fear, he helps calm that. there's just so much in there, and definitely read your Bible. God's got stuff in there that I've seen so much of it used today, even by people who doesn't follow God. And it's like, yeah, that's in there. That's in there. All of it pretty much comes right out of there, so you can read through it, and that's how you armor up.
Yeah, the Bible calls itself a weapon, so that when you have it in you, you can use it to fight when that time comes. So the more you have in you, the more you will have available when the hard time comes. And I would add that and say, surround yourself with a bunch of godly people, because they will have your back like none other when the hard times come, and they will hold you, and they will fight for you, and it's awesome. Any other questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, so we never want to just leave with human words. Billy's awesome, and I'm okay, but we definitely want to give you God's word. And so after what he talked about, many years later, he met the beautiful Melinda and married her and moved here. And there's two things. Yes, there's two things that Billy said I want to express in this Testify. And one is that God goes after you even when you're running away from him. And the second is that you can use, however God reached you, you can use it to reach someone else. And that's why basketball is so precious to him. And so the verse today is going to speak to both those things. And so if you want to look it up, it's going to come up on your screen, but it's in Deuteronomy, and it says, "But the Lord is the one who is marching before you. He is the one who will be with you, and he won't let you down. He won't abandon you, so don't be afraid or scared." So in that moment, it's saying, hey, guys, God's pursuing you. And then once you realize that, don't be afraid. Be bold about giving him to someone else. And so Billy uses basketball all the time to invest in teenagers, because that's how God invested in him. So I'm going to leave you with a quote. It says this: "Our pursuit of Jesus is simply a response to his pursuit of us. He is the initiator. He is the rescuer." So you don't have to chase God. That little kid wasn't chasing that cow, right? God is pursuing you because of his deep, deep, deep love for you. And Billy definitely wanted that verse about God leaving the 99 to find the one. When the 99 are safe, he's going after the one that isn't, because you're that important. He sees you. You're important to him. He loves you. And so we are going to head into a time of small groups in a second. So if you are on the online audience, you are going to click off in a second, and you are going to, you can soap that verse. You can use it as a memory verse, and then you can click on the worship set and have your own moments. You can FaceTime in with your small group if you're part of the Diff. We're going to do that in a minute, but there's two things that we need to do first. The first thing is, Billy, as a symbol of what God did for you and what we love that you do for God, we are presenting you with this basketball. And we would like you to continue to use it for ministry and as a symbol that God chased you. And we're so thankful that you said yes. And we're so thankful that you use the same thing to reach teenagers so many years later. So if you're online, we will see you in a little bit. If you are here, then there's one more video we want you to watch before you head to small groups to hash all this out together. And then it'll get our hearts ready to talk about how God pursues us and what we do after that. So check out this video and then head to small groups.